Oh, hello there. I didn't know you were here. So how you doing? It's been a busy week. So, last week we have done actually quite a lot already. I had a week off. Now I had to work again. But I sacrificed all my free time to work on the game, except for Monday. Monday I played Valorant. New season, you know, Valorant. Was kind of fun. But the rest of the week I didn't touch a game at all. At least not after work. I sometimes play games during work, but please don't quote me on that. So Monday we pretty much didn't do anything. That's on me. That's on me. I'm an addict to games, okay? I'm sorry. Please don't yell at me. I don't like people yelling at me. Thank you. Tuesday. I actually worked on the game, which was fun. I kind of did a lot. So I started with asking Oreo, Tonorian, people don't know it, we call him Oreo. He made an emote for Morgie with like a ferret holding a heart. In the last video I explained I wanted to have like a statue for that emote. So I got a proper version, high resolution version of that emote. And I basically imported it into Blender and started tracing it with just a vertex and then just trace all around it. And we get a nice outline of the object we are creating. In this case, the emote, the picture. So after I've done that, I extruded it so it got a little depth. Then we create the base. The base is very simple, just a plain extruded, and then just change different aspects of it. And after that, we put in Substance Painter after we did the UV mapping. Yes, we actually spent time on the UV maps this time. And what I did for the material of the statue itself was basically just get the UVs, line it up with the picture. We got like the outline. We made it very small and put in like a black part of the image. So it aligns perfectly, and we basically have the ferret emote projected onto the 3D mesh, which is pretty cool. It's very easy to do, and it still looks good after that, so that's a good thing. But for the base, we didn't really have texture or material. I put that in Substance Painter, and within Substance Painter we basically create like a concrete layer of it. Very simple, nothing too major. Got like a little insert in the middle just to create like a nameplate. I put the name of the emote on it and quoted Oreo on it, so people know he actually made the emote. So that was pretty nice. We imported it into Unreal and it didn't look great. It was black. So one thing I didn't notice, which I basically don't notice anytime, is the normals. I just had to invert them, re-import it, easy, done. So we imported it and that was pretty much it. It looked good. It's big, but it should be big. We might adjust the scale later. I don't really know. We'll see. But for now, it looks pretty good. It looks solid. It's eye-catching. So what we did that same day, actually, we started messing around with foliage. Yes, I know I said I wanted to do foliage myself, but I figured I see like all those game dev videos and they all say don't try to invent the wheel again, which basically is if it's out there, just use it. So I got like an asset pack with foliage. I know I used that for testing in the earlier stages, but I'm actually just gonna use it to create the environment. So I set up like a little test environment, just simple trees, a little bit of grass, and that's just it, just to get like shadows going and darkness. We also made the light source. We turned it down from 1.5 to 0.1, So it's just way darker now, and it looks way more menacing as well. Because everything was visible from too far away, because it was too bright. And also I noticed it's just boring blackness. It's not really that intriguing, really. So I started messing around with fog. I was just looking around. I found like a little fog game thing. I don't really know how to call it, but I found something which had the name fog in it, so I added it and I messed around with it, and I put the slider all the way up, and it didn't look great. It was just boring, bland fog. Me being dumb again, I had that mistake with the flashlight last time. You can put a custom number in exceeding the damn slider, and I just figured it out. Like, well, it didn't took me as long as a flashlight, but I still didn't figure it out soon enough, so I was messing around too much. You dum. But no, it's yeah, we put it up all the way. Well, not all the way, but we put up a very high number in, and as you can probably see on screen now, it's the fog is pretty decent. It's a very dense fog. I'm happy with that. So even though we only have like 2 little landscapes, which are not completely done yet, except for one, the statue is pretty much done, but the motel isn't textured at all. But even though we have that, it still already is gonna feel like a proper game, just because we have the fog, we have the darkness, we have the flashlight working, and we have a little bit of trees, not really anything else, but, and we have like the ferret statue, and just that little section, it wasn't done yet, but it was gone. It felt like, well, like a game. So we're heading into the right direction. Adding fog pretty early in this stage is probably a good thing. I probably did a good thing with that. So Wednesday, I thought it was time to try and make just a simple version of the third landscape, which was going to be the Android store, just the building itself. So I opened up Blender. I just started messing around with like the building tool, and I created some walls, created a roof, created doors, windows, all that shiz. I tried to get the sizes correctly, a little bit higher than the motel, I believe. I added big windows, a door, which was properly sized, so it was a little big, so someone can go in, someone can go out. After doing that, I looked at the UVs. I fixed the UVs. Yes, I did that. I tested, it was a little bit too small, so I had to change it. Then I dropped it into Substance Painter as well. That's what I have the drawing tablet for. It's very handy. I basically just put on some textures. I downloaded some just to fit like the style I needed. Put the textures on, and then I noticed an issue with the walls. Well, the glass first. Let's talk about the glass first. The glass was probably the most difficult one to fix. So we had like glass, but it wasn't transparent, so I had to watch a video for it, and that helped me a lot. So I actually learned a little bit about Substance Painter as well. I haven't really used it that much, except for just dropping a texture on and done. So that was cool. I learned Substance Painter through that a little bit more, just to create glass. So we had like a little texture onto the glass, so it looks a little bit more futuristic with like the weird looking hexagon thingies, and I thought it fit the style, so that was cool. We imported that worked. After a while, turns out I had the setting wrong, but okay. But yeah, then we added the textures for the walls, and that's where the trouble happened. Yes, every wall was different on the UV map. So one wall was straight, one wall was the other way around, and it didn't look very beautiful. In fact, it looked horrible. So yeah, I called a day for that day, since I had worked like 2.5 hours on it. So yeah, it was time to go to bed. The next day, and that was Thursday. And that day I spent a ridiculous amount of time just on texturing. Yes, I only did like texturing and also did like a little thing in Blender as well. But let's start at the beginning. Okay, so Thursday. We went ahead and fixed the textures on the Android store. So what we did, there was like an option for like projecting UVs. So what it basically does is you get the image, you put it onto the UVs, and then depending on what size the UV is, it gets projected on that side. So if you have like two walls which are like horizontal, and you have like one wall which is vertical, but in the real model it's just all vertical walls, it basically just rotates the texture onto it. So that's weird. So I got like an option, I found an option for it, and then it looked just great on all sides. It just worked. So that's cool. I didn't really know why that worked, but it works. So if it works, don't change it. Am I right? Yeah, of course. So that worked. We were done very easily, very fast. So then I looked up some materials for the motel. I looked at the control video again, just get a sense of what textures I needed. Downloaded the textures. I have like 30 downloads from Substance Painter with my monthly subscription. So each month I can download like 30 textures and materials and whatever, just everything. So that I spent that wisely. We started doing the motel, and from Substance Painter point of view, it looked pretty nice. It looked great, but the problem was, since we imported the texture into Unreal, that worked for the rooms, but there were also different rooms with different UV maps in that same model, since we merged it all together, remember? So we deleted all the extra materials from the other meshes, so we only have like one material for the walls. So when I applied that, it was applied to every wall, and on some walls it had the same problem with the Android store. It just didn't look great. It had weird artifacts on the walls. It just wasn't right, especially since we merged it all and we didn't really UV map it. Unreal does it automatically, so that messed it up really. So here comes the worst part. I went back into Blender, I got all the separate parts, I imported it into one main project, and then I stitched all the individual parts together in Blender again. And when I stitched it all together, I just started unwrapping it all again, and that worked. And then I imported the whole motel into Substance and did the texturing, and that worked. But it worked really. Just when we play tested it in the game, or in the engine, Unreal Engine, we imported that, we replaced it with the other one, so we have like 6 different motel meshes now. Oops. But no, we added that, and well, the textures look great on a distance, but close by they look very blurry. But that's just because I applied it to such a huge model, so I had to get the scale up by a lot. I had to increase the scale from like 25 to 40 in some cases. So that's why it looked very weird. But I'm not really gonna do anything about it. Maybe I'll do everything separate again, but it just takes so much time. And it's textured, it looks nice. it's not really a huge bump on the road, so we'll see later if you fix it. Right now, it looks good, and when we walk through it, it looks very good. To be honest, it doesn't really look terrible. If you just walk through the hallway, it looks like a proper building, realistic. Well, not realistic in the sense like, oh my god, the wood looks so real. Oh my, wow. But no, it just looks realistically textured. Like you have proper walls, a proper ceiling, proper floor. You have like the frames of the doors and windows. It all looks good. The outside as well, brick wall, concrete roof, and a little concrete roof ceiling, if that makes sense. But yeah, we basically redone the motel, we textured it. So now we have like the exterior Android store, exterior motel, and we have a ferret statue. So in my book, that's basically a lot of progress. I can't be more happy actually. I'm actually very happy that it all worked out so well, even though I spent insane amount of time on it. But it's all for the better. Even though it weren't really the most fun things to do, it still was a lot of fun, if that makes sense. It was a shit job, honestly. And it was a shit show. I googled so much, I went through the documentation, I just tried to fix everything easily, but then I just went back and redo a lot of things. But in the end, you learned from it, and it was pretty fun. And that really was it for this week. Next week we are just gonna continue with just creating the landscapes, and we'll see how it goes. We'll just start with landscapes. When we get all the landscapes done, we start filling out the details, like the interiors and where trees and foliage and all that shit. It's just mostly for testing now, the foliage, but yeah, we made some progress. We're gonna create all the landscapes first, so we actually have the map laid out. If you have all the exteriors, we can start creating spots for or we can actually start creating a proper mesh for the collectibles and create that thing properly. Because we only now have like a cube we can pick up, which is very boring. After we've done that, we can place it in all the environments, and then we can start filling out the details, like interiors, extra details throughout the map. I want to fix the AI before we actually do interiors, just so I have like a playable version very soon. Well, probably in like 2-3 weeks, but depends on how long it takes. But yeah, I hope I have like a playable version with not really many details in it yet, within 4 weeks from now. So I have to create an AI soon, and I'm not looking forward to it. I have a lot of ideas though of how to do it, but I'm not really that good at programming. But Unreal is not too bad, and there's a lot of good documentation about AI, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I hope you liked this devlog. Please, again, check out MorgiCorgie if you haven't yet, because she's going to be the star of this game. What are you doing if you haven't followed her yet? Go do it now. Do it. What are you waiting for? Have you done it? Yes? Okay, nice. So now, if you like this video, please subscribe. It means a lot to me that people are actually enjoying these. And we'll see you next week. Bye bye.